welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest Leanne Lauricella, and she's here today to talk with us about her upcoming new book, Peace, Love, Goats of Anarchy, How My Little Goats Taught Me Huge Lessons About Life. Now, Leanne knew nothing about animal sanctuary life when she left New York City for the wilds of New Jersey. She started her Instagram account, Goats of Anarchy, in 2014, shortly after getting her first two goats, Jack and Opie. With over 500,000 Instagram followers and many awards later, Goats of Anarchy has evolved into a nonprofit organization that teaches acceptance, inclusion, and provides special needs goats a happy and forever home. Leanne was also featured with her lovely goats in People magazine for this month. So pick up the copy, and it's titled, Why I Gave Up Everything to Save My Goats. It's well worth the read. So let's welcome to the show, Leanne Lauricella.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for having me.
My goodness, once I got my hand on your book, I could not put it down. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. That's so good to hear. Nobody's seen it yet because it's not out, so you're the first feedback I'm getting, so I'm anxious to hear all about it.
Oh, well, I love how your goats have taught you just this beautiful life lesson. Why don't you share with us a little bit how you even got connected with goats? How'd those two dots get connected?
Well, I was working in this city, in New York City, as an event planner for several years, and so I was your typical Manhattan career girl, dressing in high heels every day, and that was what my life was about: getting dressed up, going to work, going out for wine at night at nice restaurants. And one day at the office, one of my coworkers mentioned factory farming, and I had never really heard much about factory farming before. And so I was kind of curious, and on the way home that day, I just searched on my phone factory farming, and I was horrified by the videos and the images that I saw and the things that I read, and I went vegetarian in my car on the way home that day. And then I just started to keep digging more into it and started reading more and learning more about all of the horrors of it and things that people just don't talk about and we don't know about. It's just like this huge secret. And I just developed this huge compassion for farm animals. And I'm from Texas originally, but never grew up around farm animals. We didn't really even have a lot of pets at home. But I just started becoming drawn to them, and I had passion for them, and I wanted to learn about them. So I ended up getting married and moving out to New Jersey, which was just beautiful. It's not what you see on TV a lot of times. And started driving by all of these old farms and historic areas, and it's really pretty, and you see cows and sheep, and see these tiny little goats in fields, and I was kind of just very intrigued. And so I asked my husband if we could go visit a little goat farm one day. And we went, and I just fell in love immediately. I was just really surprised at how engaged they were with us, and they were like dogs. And I had never really thought about goats before. You just kind of see them out in the field, and you don't really think that they have personalities, but they wanted attention, and they wanted to communicate. They wanted affection, and they were silly and playful. And so I just said, I have to have goats. And so I went and got my first two baby goats, Jackson and Opie, and that's kind of how it started. I fell in love, and I was just more and more surprised by how dog-like they were, and I just wanted to share that with the world.
Well, and you just didn't fall in love with goats. You fell in love also with goats that are special needs, and ones that people, most of the time people wouldn't really take care of.
So 2 goats turned into 100 goats pretty quickly. um, we 2 months later, after getting my first 2, I got 3 more, and then after that, I said, you know what? The more time I spent outside, working with goats, and I mean even cleaning up and doing farm chores, I loved it. I loved being outside because my previous job, I was in an office all day long, and I decided that I wanted to quit my career, and I had no plan in mind other than I really wanted to find something else more fulfilling to do with my life, and I knew I wanted to do something working with animals. And it was scary because I made a very good salary and drove a little Mercedes, and was used to being able to do whatever I wanted to do. And I went from that to making nothing and had to give up my Mercedes, and I started volunteering for an animal sanctuary so that I could learn. And then the opportunity came for me to foster a couple of really sick goats, and I fostered them, and they were, on death's door, and just through that whole process of rehabilitation, I loved it, and they survived. I became a foster failure, and I couldn't give them up, so I adopted them, and then, I started my social media account, and it called Goats of Anarchy. And, people started tuning in, and I started to get requests, can you take these goats? So I had my first special needs goat came in, Lila, and she had 3 legs. And, we went from her not walking to her running as fast as all of the boys that she was with. And then the next one came in, and she had frostbite, and she was missing both of her back legs. And I didn't mean to get into this. It happened very naturally, and when people saw the success with 1 or 2, then they would ask me to take another one, and then it just kept growing. So we now have, I think, 34 special needs goats with various types of disabilities ranging from blind, neurological, amputees. A lot of them are wearing prosthetic legs, and some of them are in little wheelchairs. So, yeah, it just kind of happened.
Kind of took off from there. Well, it's so interesting where we find our purpose in life. And you talk about purpose in your book. And I was really it's just such a heartfelt, like your transition from where you were to following your heart, going, you know what, I need to be doing something more. I feel like there's more out there. And you really kind of took it, even though you didn't have like, I'm going from here to there, you really took it and just followed your heart. And I really applaud you for that.
It was scary. I have never not had a job before my entire life, so to not have a job or a plan was scary. And yeah, I was just so fed up with just feeling like I was supposed to be doing something else. And, I was working for someone else, making someone else money, and it just felt meaningless and pointless. And so I really did. I kind of just ran with it. And, I started my little Instagram account for friends and family. And then my very first day of unemployment, Instagram featured one of my photos on their homepage, and I got 30 or 40,000 followers that day. And that was my first day without a job. So I thought, all right, I'm on the right track. And it just felt right. And so, there was a lot of times that were very scary, when I would move to a larger property, and I just kept telling myself, you just have to go for it. People that make it don't make it sitting still and being scared. So with every step as we've grown, I just put myself out there and said, what do you have to lose? And it's been working out so far.
Well, and you've won several awards based off the work that you're doing, because it is a work of the heart, because I don't think people understand just how much work it is that you put in to each animal that is under your care, because you have also you have chickens and you have other animals that are there on your farm.
We do. We have chickens and pigs, sheep, a couple of donkeys, many horses. We just got a few full-size horses. A couple of those are blind also. We do have a lot of healthy animals. Some of them didn't start off that way, but they're healthy now. But we try to kind of stick with special needs as much as we can. But it is, it's a lot of work. I thought at my last job that I was working as hard as I have ever worked in my life until I started this. And I definitely work harder than I've ever worked. But, the old saying, about you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I truly love what I'm doing, and I will work 24/7. I haven't had a vacation or a day off in years. It's, and it doesn't feel like it. There's nowhere else that I would rather be than here doing what I'm doing.
How long did it take you to learn everything about the goats and like the different animals that you have? Because each one has a unique, they have unique needs. So like a pig would have different needs than a goat, I would think.
I mean, I'm still learning, and I take some crazy stuff. So my vets are still learning also. We take animals who usually would be euthanized immediately. So there are animals that are living with conditions that, a lot of animals have never lived with before. We've got goats that are neurological. We've got one goat, Finn, who's neurological, who can't stand. He's very wobbly, but he rolls around in his cart, and he is the happiest goat that we have here. And he's the greeting committee when you walk through the door. And the doctors even really couldn't tell us a lot about what his life would be like because no one lets them live that way because it's too much work. And we're so lucky to have just such a huge family of volunteers and staff and people that are here every day working with these animals that we're able to do that. But it is I'm never going to be finished learning. Every case is completely different, and it's just constant education.
Yeah, I'm sure that they teach you so much. How do you feel, and you talk about this in your book, you talk about unconditional love. How do goats, and we'll stick with the goats, I know you've got a lot of other amazing animals, but how do the goats teach us about unconditional love?
Well, I think that goats are more loyal than people. Watching them and their families and their best friends, that was also surprising to me. With livestock, goat, people are constantly breeding them and they're selling the babies off or they're slaughtering them or, the families are getting split up. We have several mothers and babies, and those mothers and babies don't leave each other's side ever for the rest of their life. For life, they are glued to each other. You don't see one without the other. Our twins, we've got several sets of twins, are the same way. They sleep together, curled up. They nap together. They eat together. They run around together. And then goats that are paired together as babies, that's their best friend, and they think they're siblings. The loyalty that they have and the love that they have for each other and their goat battles, if one's getting picked on, their best friend will come over and jump in. And it's for life. And so it's been really awesome to watch that and see that they are more capable of love than a lot of humans are.
Well, they teach us a lot about love and peace and compassion and, as you're saying, sticking up for their buddies. And so it's easy to see why you called the book Peace, Love, Goats of Anarchy. And that whole Goats of Anarchy, for as it's become your brand over the years, people are just gravitating towards that. Like you were talking about how when you set up your Instagram account, people were really getting involved. And I think because a lot of people didn't understand what were happening, not just to goats in general, but to special needs goats, that they have a beautiful, healthy life outside of what people would normally consider.
Well, and it doesn't just end with goats. One thing that was also surprising to me, when I started out, all I cared about were goats and helping goats. And, it evolved into special needs. But then, there's been certain special needs goats that have really captured the hearts of our followers for various reasons. And I started getting messages from people, and I still do, who identify with a particular goat based on, their disability. I've had people saying, well, I'm in a wheelchair, or I have a heart condition, or, whatever it is, they're relating to that goat with the same issue. And they say they tune in every day because if that goat can do it, so can they. And they find inspiration from these little goats. So, parents of autistic children relate to some of our neurological, babies. And they just all find so much inspiration and comfort from these goats. And so, I kind of set out to help the goats and was really surprised to see how much the goats were helping people.
I'm not surprised at all, especially, like how you're saying, people can really relate to what the goats are going through and what they might be going through at the same time, because it's got to be, there's a lot of different things that get covered within their little goat lifetime. You've got, if they've been separated from their families, or they have an issue with a disability or something neurological like you were talking about, and just how they just always seem so I love looking at your Instagram page because they always seem so happy no matter what's going on.
We have goat drama, and I think people like to see that. We've got battles and some fights, and then we've got couples that happen, and people love to see who's the new couple, and they're just like us, and it's really amazing. So I think that a lot of people are just as surprised as I was to find out, wow, goats are so much like us. And that's kind of what I want to show people is goats are not food. They have every right to be here and live, like we do.
And especially to have their families all together if possible, kind of like they would naturally anyway,
Right. They're herd animals, so they would stick with their family. And, of course, we bring attention to special needs. And, a lot of times people will say, that's cruel. You shouldn't keep this goat alive. It's in a wheelchair, or he's missing a leg. And, our response is always, well, would you do that to a human? We let, humans live with disabilities, and they have perfectly great lives. So why can't a goat? And so there's a lot of relatability and education there.
So at the time, like right now, how many animals total do you say that you have? It's probably 35.
I'm around over 100, maybe 110, somewhere in that area. I lose count sometimes.
That is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. My goodness. My heart just goes out to you because you're definitely earning your angel wings in heaven for rescuing these animals and giving them a loving home, because you can definitely see that they're well loved through everything that I've seen, and also your books. You look at them and they're the rock stars and the superstars of everything.
They are. They're impossible not to love.
Mm-hmm. What would be one thing you would want our listeners to take away from your book?
I just, I would love for people, I don't know, to think more about farm animals other than a food source. There's so much more that they have to offer and that they can teach us and that we can give to them and they can give to us. They really are my family, and it breaks my heart when people look at them as nothing else other than, food. So I would love for people to read the book and kind of maybe be inspired. If you're not happy with your life, change it and take a leap of faith and do something that you love, and it's worth the risk most of the time. And go out and pet some goats.
Yeah, I've already threatened you that I'll come over to the farm and hug as many goats as possible. So
Yeah.
that probably will happen at some point. But
You should definitely come. Goat hugs are the best.
Well, and what I took away from your book is exactly that, is have the courage to follow your heart. Because it's interesting when we do that, when we follow what makes us fulfilled and what makes us, we feel like, gosh, instead of doing what I should be doing for a job, doing the things that make me happy, just where it ends up leading you. And so, I really, again, applaud you for all the work that you're doing with not just the goats, but all the other great animals that you have at your farm. My goodness,
Thank you.
Oh, you are
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to see some things change for animals in the future, and I'm hoping to be a part of that.
Well, it all starts with discussion. Well, and if people are looking, they're going, gosh, you know what? These goats are so amazingly cute. I would like to either make a donation. Can they sponsor goats? Or any of the animals? How does that work?
Yeah, all of our animals do have, we've got a couple of new ones that don't have sponsors, but each animal does get their own sponsor. Of course, we take donations. You could go to our website, which is goatsofanarchy.com, and there's links to pretty much everything there.
And they can go ahead and make donations. They can learn about all the books that you have, sponsor an animal, schedule a visit. Oh, and I love this. And for those that have Amazon, the holidays are coming up. There's an Amazon wish list, so they can go there and kind of check that out too and see, gosh, what do we need to make sure the goats have, right?
Right. Exactly. I will update that list.
You can never have enough of that. Well, and before we go, what's the website where people can connect with you and be part of your community?
Our website is goatsofanarchy.com, and then there is a link to our Instagram, our Facebook, and also there's information on volunteering. Every Saturday, we're not open to the public for tours or anything like that, but on Saturdays we do have open volunteering, so you can get on the list. We do have a waiting list. Come and work and sweat a little bit and hug some goats, and we like for people to be able to come and meet them so they can see how amazing they are, but in order to do that, they have to come scoop a little poop first. So it's all worth it.
Hey, well, you know what? Everyone's got to do a little something to kind of make the world a better place. And
Exactly.
It's not a bad place to start.
Right.
Well, Leanne, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for reading the book.
Well, thank you, Leanne. It has been such a joy to spend this time with you, and not only to talk about your upcoming book, Peace, Love, Goats of Anarchy, but also all the fabulous work you're doing at the sanctuary. Again, if you'd like to connect with Leanne and just either want to see if you can donate, sponsor a goat, or she's got many other animals. I know she just recently got a couple little pigs. Feel free to reach out to her at goatsofanarchy.com and see how you can get involved and donate. Don't forget to connect with her on Instagram and get all the updates of what's happening at the Animal Sanctuary. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.